All right, welcome to episode 2 of Point to Point, a weekly Paladins podcast brought to you by CapturingSiege.com. I'm your host, Shim, and with me this week is my co-host, Swarmso. It's just us today, so we're going to run down some of the week's Paladins news, some PPL results, and be on our way. What's up, Swarm?
Nothing much. Sitting here, ready to talk about some Paladins, my favorite game.
Wow, you sound like a high-res chill. Not
I
gonna
am.
lie.
I am.
All right, let's start us off. Okay, so the last week, if you haven't watched the last week's podcast, we went over OB61 patch notes. So we're going to start with Buck this week. They buffed Buck a bunch, and I'm pretty sure in the video we all talked about how Buck was going to be really good. So today is the 22nd of October, so it's been about 4 days since the new patch was launched and you were able to play on competitive. We've played a lot of competitive. We have seen the PPL results. Buck, how broken is he?
Holy shit! All right. Well, Buck, man, holy shit. So they decreased his health a bit, right? And I mean, we went over it last week, but they increased his damage for those who don't know, and just basically nerfed his health. That's basically, they did a lot of like other reworks, but that's the rundown. Right now, he is basically almost where Mave was, in my opinion.
Same. I have the
Last
same
patch,
opinion.
OB60 was it?
Yep.
OB58?
OB60.
When was it OB60 when she was just
Yep.
beyond? Yeah, so like last patch, I feel like he's kind of where she's at, where she is that first pick, first ban.
Yeah, absolutely, actually. I'm a flank player, so I legitimately in ranked, we ban Makoa if we're first pick, and we just pick Buck. Does not matter into what comp, does not matter into what matchup. That character right now is, in my opinion, he's a little worse than where Maeve was, because there's actually counterplay to Buck. There
Yeah.
was no counterplay to Maeve last patch. Like with the new Buck, you can run. So if you max out Cauterize, his heal is actually like useless. Old
Right.
Maeve wasn't affected by Cauterize, which means you couldn't kill her. Bounce House right now, the only thing about Buck is Bounce House. That
Holy
ability
shit.
is ridiculous. Or
That
that
thing
legendary is
fucking
ridiculous.
launches you. Holy shit.
So the problem with Bounce House, if you guys don't know, the Bounce House legendary card for Buck knocks up and does 600, I think, damage to
Yep,
anyone that you
600.
jump on. And when it knocks you up, it like launches the person back. Now, the reason that this card is broken right now is because it goes through all CC immunity and goes through all CC reduction.
So you can't go resilience?
No,
on it?
you cannot go resilience. You cannot pop anything. So let's say you're an Eevee. Normally, if you ice block as Eevee and you get pulled by a Makoa hug, you do not move anywhere. Buck will actually push you away. So I've had this happen to me in a couple of casual games, not in a competitive game because I don't play Eevee in competitive. But if you ice block as Eevee and you get jumped on by a Buck, you can get sent off the map if your Blink and your Soar are down. The same thing can happen to literally any character that is CC immune.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys, like, for those who haven't actually played since the patch, imagine, try to think of how fucking far you get launched. Imagine like a tiny Torvald ulti on
Yeah,
you.
he pushes you.
Like,
Um,
imagine Torvald hitting you for like like a second with his ult.
So for
A second with his ult is
reference,
basically how
yeah,
far
for
it
reference, if Buck jumps on you at the maximum distance and you're in the middle of the point on frozen guard, he would push you out of the room. That's actually quite a distance. Like if
That
you
is
jump
really
on
fucking
somebody
far.
on frozen guard on the middle of the point at the maximum distance, you launch them out the door. Now the thing that does, and because there's no counterplay, it completely displaces a team. So if you're the Buck and you have a Torvald on your team and you get shielded, if Buck jumps in, he can completely decimate an entire point capture because he just
Yeah.
jumps on top of them and pops his ulti and then kills everybody because
Yeah,
everyone's
'cause,
displaced.
with the patch notes, if you the knockback was increased 50%. That's
Right,
also why.
exactly. That
But
thing goes
holy
a
shit.
mile long. Yeah.
But anyways, besides just talking about Buck, also one of the bigger things about him, I guess we're still talking about him.
Right.
One of the bigger things is his ultimate's also really fucking good. Now this isn't Buck, but it's just really good right now, because what is it? His damage is
60% increase
800.
in the attack speed.
Yeah, so it's 800 damage. His attack speed's already pretty fast.
It's pretty much like when I play Buck and I
Yeah.
ult, I feel like I'm playing Andro with 800 damage.
Yeah.
and
So
a heal.
think about it that way.
Yeah, I feel like the timing for the attack speed for like to get maximum attack speed with the as little fall off as possible when you have your ulti up is the exact same timer as the Andro ult, like the
Yeah.
Andro left clicks. So if
To
you're
be
an Andro
fair,
player, you got that.
yeah. The problem with this character really is I know they increased his balance or his what is it, heroic leap, I guess you
Yeah,
call it.
it
They
cooldown.
they increased the cooldown from 6 to 10, but that man, I swear to God, he does not need that 6. If he had 6 seconds, he would literally be
Yeah,
broken. The
well, the
most broken
problem is he has one of his cards, Stomping Ground,
character.
or it might not be Stomping Ground. Yeah, it is. When you get an elimination, I think it's an elimination. I'm actually gonna pull it up right now
Pull that up real quick.
because it might be a kill, but I'm pretty sure it's an elimination. And even if it's not, it doesn't feel like it's a kill. Let me look up the
So
card.
what does that do? It
Bounce
does it like
House.
reduce cooldown off.
Yeah, every
Like,
elimination.
holy shit! That's possibly why he's going
Yeah, here it
everywhere.
is. So every time you get a kill, you reduce your cooldowns by 60%. So if you think about it like this, so if you're going in with a bounce house buck, now I personally don't play bounce house buck. I play in snare because bounce house is broken right now. I don't like to play characters that are fundamentally broken, like they're not coded properly. Now, but Maeve was fine because she was overpowered.
She was just how it
Buck is
was.
actually broken.
He's actually broken.
Yeah.
Like he's not. If you guys don't know and you don't keep up with the esports scene, they literally don't allow it. Like PPL doesn't allow it.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the newest PGS won't allow it either. I'm
right.
not
It's
exactly sure on that.
banned in actual esports play right now because there's no counterplay to it. So let's say you jump in. So it's a 10-second cooldown. So you jump in, and it takes you. So if you hit somebody 3 times, so you do 600 damage to start with. Let's say you're fighting, I don't know, someone with 2200 health. Could be Shaolin or whatever. You jump in, you do 600 damage. They're already down to 1800. All you have to do is hit 2 shots pretty much, and then have him be ticked by anybody else, and you get the final hit. That should take about 3 seconds. So you've already gotten your cooldown back up for bounce house
Right.
or for your leap. So anytime you kill anybody, pretty much, as long as they're not like a one-hit target, if you have to pump your shotgun twice and hit them twice, you have your leap back up after you get the kill.
That makes sense. I mean, that's basically all the characters in the game, really, unless you're, like you said, going for a one-shot.
Right, exactly. So like any character in the game, you can blow up as Buck and then get out right away. And then with the heal, like early game, that heal is ridiculously strong. Once Cauterize gets up, that's why he's not as good as Maeve. Cauterize, I think, plays like a really strong part in it. You can caught him, and he's not really getting a heal. You can turn and burn him. I don't think he's going to be that important in competitive. Well, I mean, I think he's going to be a very high pick in competitive because he already was for Perdome and stuff. But he's not going to be like Maeve level because you can actually turn and burn him.
I talked about this a bit in the first episode with Perdome playing Buck and who else played Buck? I'm trying to remember. I mean, no one really played Buck. I mean,
Red
Perdome
Charlie.
just kind of whipped him out. And,
Red
Charlie.
Charlie.
He is a one-trick pony Buck. Holy shit! But
Yeah,
I played against him, and let me tell you, that man. But anyways, we're getting off track. This opens up spots for other players to learn to play Buck, while also giving Perdome that lock-in.
Right.
I don't know. This PPL wasn't based off this OB61, right?
It was.
It was?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Did anybody? I didn't really get a chance to watch it, guys. So bear with me. But
So I'll
anybody
be writing
play
down
Buck?
PPL. I think Buck's gonna take a long time. Not a long time. I think it's gonna take another week before Buck actually gets introduced to
It's, like,
everybody's thing.
introduced.
Because the difference between the patches was Wednesday was patch day.
Right.
Okay. And so Wednesday was patch day, and then Saturday is PPL day. Saturday and Sunday. So I think you're gonna have to wait until next week until actually people start playing that character.
You can start playing him casuals more, getting
Right, exactly. I think it's going to take a little bit because, like, Perdue will play him, but you need to actually see, like, people need to run him in scrims. You can't give people 3 days for them to develop a strategy around a
actually
character.
try to get a character.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Now on the next thing.
okay. Yes, we're done with Buck.
Yeah, get Buck out of the way.
Okay,
We're
done with Buck. We won't bring him back up. I probably will.
Because we're possibly going to talk about this next week also, how Buck played in the PPL. Because chances are he's going to be played.
Yeah,
so
he's going to be picked.
We'll see how
He's going to be picked
gets,
next
right?
week.
My character I like to talk about, Barrack. I complain a lot about people running. This is ranked. I play ranked all week. with these changes, and one of the biggest things is architectonics, how they changed the
Fire speed.
fire rate. Was it?
They
What
changed.
was
Well,
it? It
so
doesn't shoot consistently
so what
now?
they did. So I think this is actually a bigger problem than people have brought up. Hi-Rez in the patch notes said one thing, and then they secret nerfed him even more than that, even though they didn't say that in the patch notes. And I do think that's actually a very substantial problem.
So what happened?
So they in the patch notes it said that it will no longer instant fire. What
It
they
no longer makes
also
your turns
did,
instant fire.
right? What they also
Turns
did
cannot miss.
is it changed it to from hit scan to projectile with arc. So arc before would just like instantaneously hit. Now, if you're Tira and you're side strafing Architectonics turrets, you will not get hit by the turrets anymore.
Really?
Right. That's
possibly
not
why my turns aren't doing shit.
that was not what was in the patch notes. That
I mean,
at all
all
wasn't.
it said was instant fire. I assumed when we were talking.
I mean, we talked about it last week. Like
Yeah,
we
we
all
talked
assumed
about-
one thing.
And I mean, the ass, you don't make an ass out of me. But like, when it says instant fire, what I assumed was that it wasn't gonna go bah bah.
I mean, no, because
you know?
they also did that. Like they removed the
Yeah.
instant fire and then they nerfed him harder, which I think that's actually a really big problem. And I want Hi-Rez to address this. Why they're just secret nerfing things without telling the community. That's not.
Well, my question is that even with regular Tinkering
Yeah,
turns?
everything.
Okay, so it's just his burns.
Yeah, they
or turns
wrecked
overall, not
they wrecked Barrack, which really sucks because like they removed his turret. Like he no longer plays with the turret anymore. He's pretty much just a shield bot.
Now that brings up into a different thing. Where is he in the meta now? Is tinkering like, because we even talked like a lot of this goes back to last week because this is like we talked about the patch.
Right.
And
This is pretty much
kinda,
part 2 of the patch.
It's like it's like overviewing almost.
Right.
So we talk about tinkering. We talk about Fortress Breaker. Is it called Fortress Breaker? I think that's Ashes. I
No,
can't
that's
remember.
Ashes. His is Fortify.
Fortify.
Yeah.
I have not seen anybody run Fortify.
No, I don't think anyone's
on
going to Fortify.
But that's also because that comes with the shield and record changes if they ever do come
Yeah,
out.
I don't think anyone will ever run Fortify.
We're not going to go over that. That's not
Right,
in
that's
this.
not in this patch, so it doesn't really matter.
But on here it says, is Tinkerin still viable after the nerf? And I honestly think he's in a good position.
Okay.
Now, without the turrets, instant firing or whatever, now, whatever they did to the turrets, I don't know. But the Tinkerin, the thing is that it makes it harder for casual players to play him. But it's better for esports.
Okay, so here's
Right.
the easy way to do it. Okay, so there are 8 frontline champions in the game. Just
Mm-hmm.
Google Paladins frontline champions real quick, and we'll just run through it, and we'll pick who you would pick above Barrack right now.
Paladins.
Frontline champions. It should be the Gamepedia one. Just scroll down to champions frontline. It's 8 of them. So it's
Alright,
Ash,
champions.
Barrack, Fernando, Inara, Makoa, Ruckus, Terminus, Torvald. Terminus
Okay.
is the new character. We'll talk about him in a second.
Well, are we
So we'll
considering this,
remove
like,
Terminus out of
okay,
the
we're
list.
gonna remove this.
So we'll talk
Okay.
about the 7. Who would you pick? In what order would you pick these characters?
Are we basing this off of ranked?
We're basing off ranked and competitive play. Yes.
Okay. So this is like kind of like Swarmso's tier list on front lines. I like it. Barrack. Fuck, man.
I would pick
'Cause- okay.
Torvald.
It would be no. Okay. First, Torvald. You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't have to be like 1
No,
through
here's-
6. Just
here's
who would you
why.
pick above them.
Here's why I would say Torvald. I would pick above. Oh wait. Okay. Never mind. So we're just going.
Yeah,
okay.
just
so
don't-
Torvald, Makoa, Ash. I would say because she's just so fucking good still.
Yeah, I'd pick Ash.
I've seen a lot more Ruckus play.
I'd pick Ruckus.
I would say Ruckus.
He does the same
and-
thing that Barrack does. He does the
Now,
same amount of
Barrack-
damage.
and Inara are kind of like split.
I would pick
I would
Inara.
say I would pick Inara because of her just zone potential.
I actually might pick Fernando.
no.
I honestly think I would pick Fernando. Like the problem with Barrack, he has no health pool. He has no area denial with his turrets anymore. His shield isn't that good, and he doesn't do that much damage. Just pick Fernando. It's the same character with better mobility, more health, a better shield, a better damage, and actually a flank. It's literally the same character, just better in every way.
It's hard between the Barrack and Fernando. It kind of.
But again, so you would pick 5 characters before you would pick Barrack.
yeah, basically in a sense, it's that. Yeah.
There you go.
So it's still the problem with I feel is that he's still viable. I feel like but also tanks are kind of still pretty good right now. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like tanks
yeah.
are still
The worst tank is only like B plus,
yeah.
realistically.
So like they're all still good. So overall, he's still viable. Like he would be a really good third tank choice if you triple tank.
If both teams triple tanked, then yes, you would
Eh,
pick him again. But like,
Again, it depends on the
yeah,
draft.
like that's the thing. Like I
You know?
would rather have a team of Makoa, Ash, Ruckus, Fernando, and Ara Torvald. Any of those combination before I picked Barrick. And you don't agree with Fernando, but like that's fine. The point is, there's
Yeah.
really no reason to pick him.
I
He
understand why you
doesn't
say
do
Fernando,
anything.
but still, it's still the sense I'd pick most.
Right, exactly. But like he doesn't really do anything. Like all of his positions have been taken up by other characters. He no
And
longer
like
has
you
area
said,
denial.
I haven't really noticed about the things because I haven't seen him end play as much.
Right, because he has been played.
Yeah, I mean when I see play, it's Arc, and usually they get like instead of 120k, they get
Right.
like 50.
Arc
You know what I
used
mean?
to do 150k damage. Now he
And
gets
instead,
barely
in
60.
these 20-minute games, I see 50.
Right,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So,
That's actually
I
a
don't know.
lot of damage. I mean, even though before it was like fluff damage, like 200 pot shots, but that did a lot.
Yeah, even because like with the Tinkerin nerf too, I don't think Tinkerin needed to be nerfed. Honestly, I really don't think it needed to.
Dude, I don't know. I think Tinkerin is stupid. I thought Tinkerin to begin with was stupid. 650 damage to an ability or to a character with turrets and all that stuff.
I mean, okay, with the turrets the way they were,
right,
they were already,
exactly.
like, pretty good.
Those need to be nerfed. But
Then,
now
yeah,
you
but
don't nerf
now
both.
with these turrets where these turrets are fucking like ass or whatever, you like they changed the thing with the arc change.
Right,
You know?
if you nerfed both things and now the character's just bad.
And if they made it projectile, then it's like, okay, well if they made it projectile and I'm gonna pay attention to this if you in the
Exactly,
next
like
few
that's the
games,
thing.
I'm
It's
gonna pay
just like
attention to that,
they really
see how it
wrecked
goes.
him.
Yeah, they really hit him hard. I think it, and I mean everybody is complaining about it. Really, there's a lot of people complaining about it, which I understand why, but I don't know. Like I said, the tanks are still strong. He's still strong. He's a good pick. I don't know.
Yeah, tanks are just the bottom line is tanks are strong. If tanks weren't strong right now, you would never see Barrick.
Then Barrick would be a non-played character. In this
Right,
game.
exactly.
Yep.
If the record changes had went in last patch, you would never see Barrick again, ever. He would be F tier instantly. If the record changes from the PTS patches, if the record changes went in, he would be F tier.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Tanks are good, so who cares?
Speaking of tanks,
Right. The one that we excluded.
the one we haven't talked about yet, and I bet everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear this fucking topic." Terminus. What a character.
Okay, so
What are your
Terminus
thoughts?
reminds me of Cho'Gath from League of Legends. Not gonna lie.
No clue who that is.
So Cho'Gath is a character that just gets really big, and all he does, like he does a lot of damage, but his main objective is to just be a very big hitbox and take up a lot of damage. That's kind of what Terminus does with his giant soak up shield and stuff. Like he holds his shield up.
Big shield.
It's huge. I mean, you could be shooting like 3 or 4 feet away from Terminus, and somehow he still sucks it up. The character has a ridiculous DR, so he never dies.
Because what is it? Can its tech to what was it?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, with Haven and everything.
95.
With Haven
Like,
and everything.
If he gets triple Haven and just like
It was
stacks that shit.
was 95 before
Alright.
before they fixed them, but I mean even still he has more DR than Inara, so he just doesn't die. Like as a damage player, he just doesn't die. You leave him alone. That's it. You just leave him alone. His ultimate means that he just comes back to life instantaneously anytime he's dead. So like you have to kill him effectively twice, and he's a big giant tank. So he's just like a point clear tank.
My issue with this is that tanks are still good.
Right.
I feel like he would be a really actual. I feel like he'd be pretty balanced, but I feel like they built this character in mind with the newest PTS changes they were trying to implement.
Yeah, I do
with
too.
record and stuff. I feel like that's where they built him before.
Right.
Because
He has no
if
shield.
you think about it, they gave it to him, no shield,
a
just
lot of health.
and that would work well with his damage reduction stuff if they implemented the record changes, which would give you the 30 whatever the fuck 5, 10, 15%, whatever it is. I don't know. It was like 15, 25, 30, something. Whatever. You know what I mean. The record changes. The ones that do damage to tanks. That would make this character more manageable, because then it's not like, oh, I get to pick Terminus and run in their face. It's like, okay, I pick
Yeah.
Terminus, I zone using my whatever the fuck ability
The
where like I
shots,
hold
his cat or his whatever
his
blasts.
net, his catch net,
Yeah.
whatever it's called. Here, hold up. I think I have the name for it too.
Right. Like the problem with Terminus, he has a lot of health, he has a lot of
Power
DR,
Siphon.
and he's
His
really
Q.
dumb. Like
His
he just never dies. I think he reminds me of the same style of old Barrack.
Mhm.
Point denial, point clear. Because if you are trying to cap the point against Terminus, he will kill you. There is nothing you can do.
because even if you do kill him,
He will
you're
just
possibly
ult.
going to be kind of weak, right? You'd be kind of weak, I would assume, unless this Terminus literally
No,
can't hit
he
his
wrecks
life.
you.
Unless he literally cannot live.
Yeah.
You'll take some damage even if you do manage to kill him, and then you have that, like you said, the reanimation that takes 2.5 seconds to fucking pop, which that could count as that would be a point cap.
Right, exactly. So like the problem is if you are capping the point and he comes to the point, you have to get off the point. You have to kite him. Like yes, if he's sitting on that point, he's a big sitting duck and everyone just focus fires him and blasts him to death. But he takes a
Power Siphon.
lot of damage. He
But Power
takes a
Siphon.
lot of damage, yes.
Power Siphon literally blocks 1,200 damage, which might not sound.
I mean that's enough. That is enough.
Wait, no, wait, no. It does more than that. It's just every 1,200 he absorbs. He
Yeah,
generates a
exactly.
charge.
So
How much
he
does that actually?
as much as it
I'll
needs
look
to.
this up.
It's like reversal.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long is the cooldown?
It's like reversal. Not that long.
Or not? It's cooldown. How long is it?
Like 4
How is
seconds.
this? 4. So you have 4 seconds of
Something
literally
stupid like that.
limitless.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. Power siphon. Create a thingy. Has no cooldown and instead runs on a regenerating resource system. Yeah, exactly. So it really has no cooldown. So if you're a Terminus player and you're actually good at them, I think as people get better at them, it'll be like heat. Like in games where there's a heat system where like you have to. I mean, Grok has a heat system, exactly. So with characters with a heat system, he'll be the same way, where like you have to be managing the power siphon, but you could pop that thing up, absorb a Spitfire, put it back down. Pop that thing up, absorb a Shaolin arrow, put it back down.
It doesn't have any cooldown. It just runs on a regenerator.
Exactly. So you put that up, you block a shot, put it back down, and you literally never have to worry about a cooldown. That character can soak up more damage than anybody in the game. He is a giant hitbox that will take all the damage that your team dishes out and not die. That is very, very useful, and I can see him especially being useful in triple damage comps, as he's the only tank on the team. I could see you running Terminus Ceres or Terminus Genos and 3 damage dealers because you don't need a second tank if your character is that tanky.
Also, like you said, there's with the power siphon in general, as we explained, it gives you calamity charges each one. You also get damage reduction.
Right, exactly.
based on these charges, and you don't have to use these charges. Keep in mind, you can literally just keep them, and you can store 4, not use them. Which I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter anyways. But just imagine that you literally just hold damage forever. You are a hold damage character.
Right, like that's the problem. The character just doesn't. The character just shouldn't ever die.
But with this character, there's also a lot of bugs.
Right, yeah, this character is bugged out of his mind. OB61 in general is bugged out of its mind, but Terminus especially is still bugged really hard.
With the bounce house buck, there's that one that we already talked about. That was one of the bigger bugs.
I mean,
that literally resulted in getting banned out of PPL play.
Right.
Terminus, his ultimate ability wouldn't work sometimes. I played him like 2 games, and I remember the very first game I played with him, I wasn't able to pop my ultimate. I didn't understand what was happening.
And you just get stuck to the ground, and you're slow.
And then I got stuck to third person.
And then there's a visual bug where Terminus looks like he's still dead, but he's floating above his corpse, so he's still completely animated. And this is current. Like, as of 10/22/2017 at 7:29, we played a game before this, casual, where Terminus was laying on the ground. And you have to shoot above his dead corpse to kill him.
And it's
think about that. A character that's already impossible to kill because of so much DR and health Now you can't see him.
Imagine I'm invisible.
Right, exactly.
He's gone. He's not in the game.
Yeah, the character is really
Um,
bugged, and I hope that they fix the bugs before they introduce him into competitive or pro play, because if that character releases like this, it's definitely not gonna fly. Like, that cannot
um,
fly.
Now, also with the bugs, you know how like you said about how he gets like stuck in the ground.
Right.
That doesn't happen with just Terminus. I don't know if anybody else has had this issue.
The sliding.
Huh?
Are you talking about the sliding?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like. Is that what you're talking about with
Yeah.
him? Yeah. Okay,
No, well,
so,
no. Terminus still does it. All the other characters slid after OB61.
Yeah. One of the biggest issues that I remember playing a Makoa game. This is it was on.
But
Fish Market.
they hot fixed it like 2
Yeah,
days
they
after.
did that. Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Basically, I don't know about you guys, but this is still over OB61 general, so I'm gonna talk about it. You would like get on an ice rink, put on your skates, and go. Like, I mean, you wouldn't go fast. You'd kind of like bob
You'd
up
go
and
like
down
1
really
mile an
fast,
hour. Yeah.
and you'd go 1 mile per hour, and then like after you would stop clicking W or A or whatever you use for your movement, you would like kind of slide just a bit, and it didn't work. It didn't stop until you got to point where like you'd get off your horse, or after
You died. The game
Yeah.
was over. Like,
until the
it
game
took
was literally over,
forever.
and you're yeah. I was trying to think of it.
Yeah, it took forever.
Yeah, but I
It
mean,
still happens on Jin. It happened to me today playing Jin.
did it?
Yep, you
Uh,
billow,
Jhin
and sometimes you get
is
stuck to the ground.
broken. Yeah, Jin is still in a bad spot because of that billow. We had one that went in billow and just
You
couldn't
get
do
stuck to the
anything, got
ground.
destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you got bugged. All right, well, don't play that champion then. Whatever.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about? OB61? I think we're done.
OB
There's nothing really important.
One last thing.
What?
PPL and OB61.
Right. We'll talk about PPL. But, like, is there anything about the OB61
about
patch notes?
OB61 in general. Nothing
Maeve,
much.
Maeve is
just
fine now.
Maeve, yeah. I mean, the midnight change fixed a lot. With
You
the
can buy
little
resilience.
damage, she isn't first pick, first ban. She's not even first like pick anymore, even if it is ban. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, she just doesn't play as well as she used to, and
I like
she's
it.
really good.
She's still really good.
She's still really good.
High
She's a good
skill level
pick.
Maeve can still wreck people, but
Yeah.
it's not any random Maeve with, like, who just picked up the character, just bought it, can play.
But with this game, concerning OB61, Hi-Rez has got to do something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they hotfixed, but with new content comes new bugs. We even had this talk a few days ago.
Right.
But just so many, like these ones where they're literally game-breaking bugs with the chat system not working for the first day. Literally, you couldn't play ranked unless you just wanted to use voice chat.
That's true.
Who the fuck uses that? It's just these bugs. I don't mind small bugs like the Jin bug happens. I understand the
sliding
Terminus
bug.
new character. He's gonna have some bugs. I don't expect so much bugs, but just don't have so many bugs. Don't you have people testing this shit?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wrote a whole article about it. Like, it's not. It's
Yep.
not fun. It's not fun. to
All
talk
right.
about. So with that, that's episode 2 of Point to Point wrapped up, and we will see you guys next week with more Paladins news and discussion. Next time we'll have some guests, so it's not just Swarmso and I. I know it's a little boring. We just need to run this out. Our links are already on the overlay underneath my face cam and his picture of the gem, and we will
Hello.
talk to you all next week.